So I'd like to, at this point, introduce Congressman Kevin Brady, who will then introduce his constituent, Mark Metzler. Kevin?
Well, Eric, thank you for hosting this forum on small business and economic recovery. Clearly, small business is under attack from Washington today. There are a number of provisions in the President's new budget that are job killers, and I think will risk the survival of many of our small businesses. In that budget are provisions that directly attack our small and independent energy producers, those who really are the lifeline for our oil and gas traditional energy in America. And I'm pleased to have with me a small business owner from Gainesville, Texas, a town of 15,000. This gentleman is the president of his oil and gas company. They are celebrating 60 years in existence. He has 7 employees, and he is one of those small and independent energy producers who produce over 90%, drill 90% of the wells in the United States and produce most of the natural gas that we live on. So please welcome with me the president of Felderhoff Production Company, Mr. Mark Metzler.
Thank you, Congressman. It's my pleasure to be here to present my analysis of President Obama's 2010 budget, which calls for the repeal and change of many tax provisions that are very critical to small independent oil and gas producers in the United States. I'm here as president of Felderhoff Production Company, an independent oil and natural gas producer in Gainesville, and also as chairman of the Texas Alliance of Energy Producers, an organization representing over 3,200 members, most of which are small producers like myself with 10 employees or less. The Obama budget provisions affecting oil and gas were obviously crafted by someone who understood oil and gas taxation. They didn't just take away a few things, they took away everything. If these provisions are enacted, the drilling rig count in the United States is likely to drop to a level of 500 to 800 active rigs within a 12-month period of time. The current rig count is 1,170. A decline in the rig count means that the industry will not be replacing reserves and that the independent sector will slowly go out of business. This decrease in domestic production will occur much faster than our nation's ability to replace oil and gas with renewable sources. As a consequence, expensive imported energy will be required to replace the energy that we could produce here. The job loss because of these provisions will be staggering. We estimate that the industry will lose as many as 300,000 jobs across the United States in the drilling and production sector. Lower product prices are already adversely affecting the independent producers, and removing these deductions that are so critical would be a death blow. I stress that the companies being impacted by these provisions are not the Exxons or the major integrated oil companies. They are the small businesses that derive their income exclusively from drilling for and producing energy in the United States. They provide hundreds of thousands of quality jobs and drill the vast majority of the new wells in the United States. Most recently, in 2008, we had a 5% increase in the supply of natural gas from domestic sources, and that was accomplished largely by drilling resource plays done by independents in the United States. We are the exploration and production business in this country. Profits made by independents are taxed here, and free cash flow is used to drill more wells here. If I could, I'll make a quick example of how some of these provisions will impact my business. We're a small company with 7 employees, and we managed to accomplish drilling wells by hiring a number of service contractors, people who drive dozers to make locations, people who bring in drilling rigs to drill the hole, trucking companies that transport all the equipment required. Most of these contractors all hire hourly employees, and they work when there is work in the oil patch. Whenever the wells do not get drilled, these employees by and large are furloughed. Last year, our company had revenues slightly over $2 million from the sale of oil and gas. We used approximately a third of that money to pay for the operating cost of the wells, the electricity, the people to repair and maintain the wells to keep them producing. The balance of that money was redeployed by our company to drill more wells. Intangible development costs, which are the majority expenditure in the drilling of a new well, allow those of us who continue to explore to enjoy a smaller federal tax bill. That tax money, instead of going to Washington, goes to the drilling of more wells, and the drilling of more wells creates more employment in the energy sector. The manufacturing tax deduction, which is also in the budget bill to be removed, also allows us to reduce our tax bill. And again, the more monies that are removed from our tax bill, the more wells that get drilled across the oil patch. I appreciate the time today to deliver these comments and would answer any questions that anyone might have.
Eric, just to recap, for this small business, if these tax proposals go through, we lose 300,000 small business jobs, and half the drills in America, wells in America won't be drilled next year. Thank you.
Very good. Would anybody on the panel like to pose a question of Mr. Metzler? Mark, let me ask you, in terms of job creation, I know that your company, how many employees does your company have?
We just have 7 employees.
Have 7 employees. And the imposition of a tax like this, Kevin said, would result in the loss of how many industry-wide, do we think?
300,000 is an estimate. We're tying it to rig count, and between the combination of a lower price scenario, which we're experiencing, which is already reducing rig count, the tax provisions would lower it even further.
I appreciate your testimony. I'd also like to ask about the condition of the industry as far as access to credit and ability to finance the exploration and development of the wells.
As far as credit, a lot of independents such as our company drill wells out of cash flow and don't rely heavily on bank borrowing. But I will make this comment about capital attraction to the industry, and this speaks to several of the points in the Obama budget bill that removes percentage depletion, and it also removes the passive tax exemption for non-operated working interest. We oftentimes will develop a prospect and we'll drill a portion of it ourselves, not 100%. It's a matter of spreading risk. We'll bring other partners in, other industry people, but we also bring in outside investors. Those may be doctors, lawyers, small business people that invest in oil and gas wells specifically because of the high risk. They need the tax benefits to make the investment viable. These provisions of removing percentage depletion, removing the intangible development cost deductions will certainly make the investing in oil and gas wells much less attractive and will reduce the capital flow, further impacting the employment situation in the oil patch.
Kevin. Congressman Brady, Congressman McCarthy from California.
If I can ask you just one question. You said if the taxes go through, this is on oil and natural gas. I know one of our goals is to become energy independent. How more dependent will we be on, one, foreign oil, and secondly, you're talking about taxing natural gas, which is a clean energy as well, in our goal to be energy independence. What would you, when you say the number of wells that won't be there, what would it do to our goal of becoming energy independent?
Over 80% of the wells presently drilled in the United States are for natural gas. In recent years, the resource plays that have taken shape have provided a great opportunity for us to increase rig count and increase our natural gas supply. As I said, the supply in 2008 actually rose for the first time of any significance in recent history. It would be fair to say that a rig count that would be diminished by over 50% would involve the drilling of 50% less natural gas wells and would have a significant impact on natural gas supply.
So not only do we destroy small business and take away jobs, we're hurting our ability to become energy independent, and we're even taxing clean energy as well. In this
We most definitely are.
Thank you for your testimony.
Terrific. Anybody have any additional questions?
Eric, if I may say, these tax provisions, the routine part of our energy security, have been around since 1913. These are standard way of doing business in this country. For the first time will be removed, will have dramatic consequence.
Absolutely. Mark, thank you very much for taking your time to come to Washington today to offer your testimony. It is very helpful to us as we go about formulating a response to the President's budget, as this House goes about deliberating on what the best way forward is for us to help small business create more jobs. So thank you.
Appreciate your efforts.
Very good.